Hey guys, today's video is just going to be explaining how you can use the Fanatics Collect weekly auctions to turn your raw cards that you don't want into graded cards that can sell for cash. So from raw cards you don't want to cash that you can use to go buy those cards that you really do want. Sometimes we make mistakes and buy the wrong raw cards. Sometimes we pull cards out of packs. If you've got that gambler's addiction, if you want to turn those raw cards into cash, today's a good video for you today to tell you all of the different options on how you can use the Fanatics Collect marketplace to get some dough in your pocket to build a war chest so you can go buy those Jordans and those Kobes and those LeBrons and the Bradys and the Mahomes and the Aaron Judges that you want to buy. Are you tired of selling your cards on eBay, creating the listing, taking the pictures, front, back, shipping, non-paying bidders? Let the pros at Fanatics Marketplace do all of the work for you. I do. That's why I use Fanatics for my vaulting and for my selling. If you've got a bunch of unwanted inventory that you've been sitting on for days, weeks, months, years, ship it to Fanatics Marketplace and let them do all the work. Just make sure when you ship it, you use the promotional code Cajun, all capital letters, C-A-J-U-N, and tell them that Cajun Cardboard sent you, and let the pros do the rest at Fanatics Marketplace. Hey guys, Bryan with Cajun Cardboard coming at you from the great state of Louisiana. And yeah, today's video is about how to use Fanatics Collect to your advantage so you can turn your raw cards into cash. So I don't know if you guys noticed, but recently I released a video. You used to be able to submit raw cards. They would get MBA, Mike Baker certified. They'd get a grading heat condition report, like a heat map that kind of shows you the condition. They'd label the card. More importantly, they'd authenticate the card. And then you could sell those raw cards directly. Forget about grading. You could sell your raw cards in the Fanatics Collect weekly auctions. That is no longer the case. That relationship is over and done with, so that MBA option is no longer on the submission drop-down menu. But what you can do is you can submit your raw cards over to Fanatics Collect, get them graded, and then move those over into the weekly auction. An extra step, an extra expense for sure, but of course you're probably going to get more bang for your buck if you grade the cards. Again, it depends on whether your card grades a 10 or a 4, but you get the point. So right now, no raw option. That might change. If it changes, I will certainly let you guys know as soon as possible. I am an affiliate partner with Fanatics Collect. I would request and implore you, if you want to support the Cajun Cardboard channel, if you like the consistent content that I'm bringing you in the world of basketball and basketball card collecting, please consider using the promo code Cajun, all capital letters, C-A-J-U-N, when you submit your cards, whether you're submitting them raw to sell, raw grade sell, whether you're submitting them graded to sell, whether you're submitting them to sell on the Fanatics Collect Buy It Now marketplace, which has been revamped and really juiced up. It's actually a viable place to sell cards now, or whether you're just putting the dang things in your vault and you want to collect those cards like I do. Attach the promo code Cajun and it'll stay with those cards forever. And a little piece of that, if you indeed decide to sell any of those cards one day in the near future, will come back to support the Cajun Cardboard channel. All right, enough of the paying bills here. Let's get you on screen share. So I've just got the general Fanatics Collect page pulled up. I am signed in. Again, because I have my Cajun Cardboard banner up there, kind of blocking my, whatever you call that, the, what do we call that thing where you kind of plug in whatever the website is, the search bar, the search engine. There's a little button behind my fat screaming face up here in the top right. It says sell now. So I'm going to walk you through, guys, how you can turn your raw cards into cash through the grading process and what your options are and how much it will cost. And we're going to kind of give you a visual breakdown, because I don't know about you guys, I am a visual learner, right? If you just tell me something, I'm not good. I can't retain it very well. And so I am a visual learner. I like to learn with the senses of sight. And so there is a sell now button behind my face. Watch this. I just clicked it. Boom. Now it pulls up. Okay, so here's what we're looking at. I've got a raw, Tom Brady, silver 2012 Prism Silver. I've got a Michael Jordan Sharpshooters raw card. I've got a, you know, Acuna, rookie, Bowman Chrome, whatever that means, right? I don't collect baseball, so I don't know. But here's what we're looking at. So are we submitting authenticated trading cards in small slabbed items? No, we're not going to submit graded cards. Today's video is going to be how you can submit your raw cards. You don't want these things. You just want cash so you can go out there and buy the badass cards that you do want. So you're going to select this second option right here. By the way, I should mention this. You can use the promo code Cajun if you're submitting these crazy things down here. Jerseys, shoes, autographed basketball, authenticated video games, comic books, photographs, all kinds of crazy stuff like that, right? But we're right here in this section. I'm gonna highlight it for you. Non-authenticated, open parentheses, open parentheses, raw, right? So we want to make sure raw trading cards. That's what we're going to submit right here. They even give you a picture in case you're really stupid. But here's your option. So there used to be a drop down. Hey, I just want NBA to certify it for $3 and then put it in the auction. I want to sell the thing raw. I don't want to grade it. I don't think it's going to grade well, or I don't want to go through the hassle, or I want my money quicker. That was the option in the past. Right now, here are your only 5 options, okay? So stay with me here. Your options are PSA, CGC, BGS, SGC for sports cards and non-TCG cards, and then SGC TCG cards. So really it looks like 5 options. It is 5 options, but it's only 4 grading companies, okay? But the big name here is that PSA is now in the mix. There is still an affiliate like relationship between Fanatics Collect and PSA. Normally they don't see eye to eye, right? We want you to vault your cards here. No, we want you to vault your cards here. We want you to sell your cards through PSA Vault on eBay. No, we want you to sell your cards through Fanatics Collect weekly auctions, right? So normally they're competitors, but they have come together in perfect unison and harmony to spread rainbows and sunshine throughout the hobby. And 2 of the biggest and the baddest, Fanatics Collect and PSA, are working together to get your cards graded by PSA and then moved through the Fanatics Collect weekly auction. Or if you want, you just throw them in your vault. So let's say we want to move these cards over. There is a little blurb underneath each one of these kind of telling you what they're looking for. From $14, for instance, I'm going to read the PSA option, right? From $14.99 per card for bulk grading or $24.99 for single grading. Prices may vary based on PSA specifications. Numerical grading included. Recommended for cards valued greater than $50. Every single one of these options, I am just giving you the straight poop here. Fanatics Collect is telling you, don't send us a $1 card. Don't send us a $9 card. These are for cards that are valued greater than $50. What we don't want, I say we, meaning the whole hobby, anybody who buys or sells on Fanatics Collect Weekly should be able to agree on this. We don't want cards that are worth very, very little. Leave it on eBay. We want cards that matter. And here's why. And it's not because we don't think every card matters. We want the bigger cards on Fanatics Collect Weekly, and I really, when I say we, I do believe I speak for most of the hobby, because it is fun to pick up little $8 to $10 to $12 cards and say, hey, I got a deal on this card. That's great, but we don't want 140,000 cards in the Fanatics Collect weekly auctions, because it's going to bog down the site. It's going to bog down your search. It's going to increase your search results. You're going to see a bunch of stuff you're not necessarily looking for. Let eBay be the place where you kind of lurk in the shadows and dig through the weeds and kind of find steals and deals and things like that. So Fanatics Collect is requesting cards $50 or more. Will they turn down a $20 card? Look, here's the deal. There's Jordan cards out there that are $11 raw, but if it grades PSA 10, it's like $275. So do your thing, right? It's not like they're going to turn your card away if they say, oh, this is a $47 card, you're out, can't grade it. No, it's not going to work that way. They're just trying to remind you, look, don't send a bunch of second year Chronicles John Morant cards. You know what I mean? So there's your options with PSA. BGS is also an option right here. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to switch you guys over. Well, let's click PSA to see where we go next in the menu. So boom, I've chosen to grade it with PSA. Well, here you go. So it's not just a straight $14.99. It's starting from $14.99. Depending on your card, depending on your turnaround time, depending on the value of your card, depending on how many cards you send, here are your PSA options. There's no, and you you can also, by the way, go to autograph grading as well, right? The cheapest autograph option is $24.99. My understanding, somebody double check me on this, please. I think this is the case, but I might be wrong, but I think this is the case. There's no benefit to going through PSA and just submitting your cards directly, or going through, there's no financial like discount between going through PSA or going through this Fanatics Collect interface to submit your raw cards to be graded at PSA. Either way, you're paying about the same, I think. Someone else, please double check me on that. This just sort of saves a step of PSA sending your fresh graded cards back to your house, and then you sending them back to Fanatics Collect Weekly, where you're paying extra shipping, you're paying extra insurance, you're spending extra time. Then they have to recurate your cards and stuff like that. This just turns it into a one-stop shop, okay? So my advice is obviously wipe your cards down. Whatever you're going to do, however you prep your cards for grading with PSA, do the exact same thing. If you wipe it down with a microfiber like I do, all I do is, I don't have any juice or ointment or oozes or, you know, creams or you know, things like that, salves as they say, special moisturizer that I put on my cards. I don't know anything about all that. I hear about all that and it's naughty, of course, but I don't mess with any of that stuff. I take a freaking microfiber that I bought at Walgreens, which people would use to clean their reading glasses. Old people like me who can't see, they clean their reading glasses with these microfibers. I wipe the front, I wipe the back. And I don't even do that on paper cards. And so if it's paper card, I put it in a penny sleeve, and then I put it in a semi-rigid, and then I send it. If it's a chromium card, I wipe the front, I wipe the back, and then I put it in a semi-rigid with a penny sleeve, and I send it. So I don't, it's not like I have this genius, you know, method. And I know there's Kurt's Card Care, who used to be the hero of the hobby, and now he's a villain of the hobby, and there's all kinds of ways that you can, you know, fix up your card and dress it up and allegedly feel, I don't know how to do all that. So I just wipe it down. But anyway, do all that before you send your raw cards in. I guess that goes without saying, but just a word to the wise. But here's your options with PSA. So check this out. Let's go here because I want to simplify it here. So if you're considering whether to use CGC, SGC, Beckett, or PSA, use PSA, number one. That's the first thing I would advise, right? I don't get paid by those guys. I might one day, but I don't today. But that's who I grade with. And if you just want, if you're selling your card, obviously if you're sending these raw cards to weekly auction, you intend to sell them. If you want the best bang for your buck, it's not always the route to go, but it's almost always the route to go is PSA if you want the best bang for your buck today, right? Today, on August 22nd, 2004, PSA usually yields the best return, all things considered. Obviously, if you're going to get a BGS 10 versus a PSA 9, the BGS will sell for more. But all things considered, if everything shakes out according to the way it should shake out and the card gets graded accurately by both companies, PSA is going to yield you the bigger return. That's just my experience after sending probably 30, 40,000 cards to PSA over the past decade. That's just my experience. But I would love to hear comments if somebody thinks there's a better option to get more bang for your buck and more profit from your selling your cards through another one of these companies in PSA right now. I would love to hear the reasoning behind that, but I am skeptical. So this is kind of your breakdown. I got it pulled up. Here's how much it costs. Cost per card, that's again, if you're sending cards that are $40 or $50, I think you should completely ignore this. Like, I know that sounds like weird advice, like don't worry about how much it costs. You're talking about a $5 or $6 difference at the absolute most. First of all, Beckett's the most expensive on here at $25 a card. So that makes it a real easy decision between Beckett and PSA. If you think, oh, I'm going to send my cards to SGC or CGC because it's $5 cheaper than PSA or $6 cheaper, you know, more power to you, but that is not the approach that I take to the hobby. Almost always in the hobby, in life, and in business, you're going to get what you pay for. It's almost always that way. Same reason I shop at Target and not Walmart. It's just you get what you pay for. So cost per card, there you go. $9 CGC, I've never used them. $9 or $14 for SGC, I've never personally used them either, although they are a very reputable company. Beckett, I have used. Usually they take a giant hammer when I send cards to Beckett, and I just sent an order yesterday because these were cards that PSA won't grade. Don't ask me why. Beckett will grade certain Jordan cards. They won't grade PSA. Usually Beckett takes a huge hammer. You know Thor's hammer? You've seen it in those Marvel movies. There's a bigger version of that. It's like 6 feet. It's like 6 feet in measurement. They swing that hammer straight into my testicles every time I send cards there. However many cards I send, that's how many times I take a mallet to the nuts when I send cards to Beckett. But they're an option. PSA is up from $14.99. We just looked at it. Here you go. This is when they're $14.99. It's a 45-day turnaround. The cards need to be $200 or less. You can't be sending in, gold LeBron refractors and rare Jordan inserts and parallels for 15 bucks. You can't do that. 20 card minimum. You need 20 cards, $19.92 to present. If you want to send older cards or more valuable cards or less cards or whatever, the price only goes up. So $14.99 is the minimum. It doesn't mean it's always going to be $14.99. That's why it says from $14.99. Numerical grading, yes, obviously all of these companies will numerically grade. Subgrades included. Well, we know Beckett is the only one that gives subgrades. So Beckett gives subgrades, the others don't. That's how they justify the extra $11. I don't know about that, and the hobby obviously is weighing in on that as we speak. Condition report. No, you don't get a condition report with any of these places. That's what Mike Baker used to do. They'd give you a heat map and a condition report basically saying, here's what your raw card looks like. This is kind of what we think condition it's in. That's out. Factory autograph authentication. Yes, of course, all four of those will grade your autograph and or authenticate your autograph. And it gets real tricky. Grade the card, authenticate the autograph. Grade the card, don't even look at the autograph. Authenticate the card, grade the autograph. Authenticate the card, authenticate the autograph. Don't grade the card, grade the autograph. There's a bazillion different well, it's not a bazillion. There's a quantifiable number, but it's a lot of different directions you can go depending on the card, the autograph, the condition, and the value of the card, the age of the card, the era, and what people want in that particular card. So this kind of gives you a breakdown down here, and this is what some people will say is fine print, but look, it's posted. It can't get any more direct than this. There is a 1% fulfillment fee that applies to any asset which is fulfilled or transferred out of the Fanatics Vault. In other words, if you submit your raw card to be graded with PSA and then you're supposed to move it into the weekly auction, if you change your mind, which I'm going to do on occasion and say, you know what, I want to just put this in my, Fanatics Vault. There's a 1% fulfillment fee, 1% of the value of the card as determined presumably by Fanatics Collect, which won't be perfect, but it'll be close. And it's 1%, so as long as they get close, right? The fee is increased to 3% if the asset is removed within 90 days of archival. In other words, if you send 100 cards to get raw cards to get graded by PSA, and then, 90 of them you move over into the weekly auction. Well, the 10 that you don't move over, if you leave them in your vault, it's 1%. If you bring them out of the vault and you just request submission and you want to ship them down here to my, my canoe and my houseboat that I live on down here in Baton Rouge, Louisiana, that's a 3%, fee, but only a 3% on those 10 cards that you elect not to move into the weekly auction, right? So those are out there. Just know that. And if people are like, that's a ripoff, why are they doing that? Well, that's their freaking job. It's not a non-profit company, right? Fanatics it's a for-profit company. It's not pro bono. They don't just house thousands of my cards for free or your cards for free. If you're going to put cards in the vault and they're going to take the cards in, they're going to ingest them, they're going to add them to the database, they're going to take impeccable, amazing pictures of your cards that you can share with people worldwide, and you can create shareable links, and you can move them into the weekly auction anytime you want, and they're going to insure those cards, and they're going to have them in a building with an 8-foot thick safe door that has a building around that with an armed guard. And yes, I've been there. I've seen it myself. There's an armed guard at the door, and then there's fencing around the compound. If they're going to take perfect care of your card, you're going to pay the freaking people 1%, okay? So just deal with it, right? So that's just kind of the cost of doing business. If that's too much for you, then maybe vaulting is not the way to go for you. But this just kind of wanted to give you a breakdown of your different options out there. CGC, SGC, Beckett, PSA, NBA is out the window now, guys. And so those are your options if you want to submit raw cards for cash. Remember, the only thing that I would ask is if you like the stuff that I'm bringing to you, if you like the Jordan videos, I'm trying to get more important, knowledgeable people in very diverse segments of the hobby on the channel so I can extract information from them, so I can get better at asking the questions that you guys want me to ask to get the information that you want to glean from these individuals, these intelligent individuals with these amazing collections or who run these amazing companies. You've seen Nat Turner of Collectors, the CEO of PSA, right? You've seen Adam Gray, the editor
and owner of Basketball Card Fanatics magazine. You've seen the biggest Patrick Mahomes collector in the entire world. You've seen JoJo Contino, VTV Sports Cards, one of the biggest Jordan PSA 10 collectors in the world. I'm going to continue to bring you some badasses, some big-time guests on this channel. You have my word on that. You have my promise on that. If you want to support that, and if you want to support my endeavors in this channel, the easiest way to do it is to use the promo code Cajun, all capital letters, if you're going to submit raw or graded cards to vault or sell on Fanatics Collect. It's certainly worth looking at. I do it. I am very partial. A, I get paid. B, it's what I do with all my cards. I either vault them up there because Baton Rouge is a freaking quagmire. It is a swamp. You know, alligators can eat them. Thieves can take them. They can flood. They can catch on fire. A trillion different things happen in Baton Rouge, Louisiana, and I don't want my babies to be part of it, to be quite honest with you. I don't want somebody knocking on my house and my wife answer the door and they want my, you know, 86 Fleer Jordan card. I don't want that to happen, right? I'm not exactly hiding in the shadows. If you want to find me, I'm real easy to find. Come at me, right? I'm in Baton Rouge, Louisiana. I'm easy to find for a reason. I don't have any cards. They're all in Oregon. They're all at the Fanatics Collect Vault. I think it's a great way to grow and move in and out of certain cards because, you know, there's one thing I'll say, and this is way off topic, but we'll end it on this, is the way I collect today is different than the way I'm selling my 86 Fleer Jordan rookie PSA 10. I'm selling my 86 Fleer sticker PSA 10. Is it because I don't love the card? No, it's not. It's because I'm moving my money into a different segment of Jordan. It's because I'm moving my money into different segments of the hobby. The way I collect today is not the same as the way I collected a year ago, which is not the same as the way I collected, 3 years ago before COVID, which is definitely not the way I collected in 2016 when I first came back into the hobby and started buying Giannis base cards to grade. One thing is, don't be ashamed. Don't let people shame you for changing the direction you're taking, right? There's a million different ways to collect cards in this hobby. Don't let someone else tell you the right way to do it, right? That's why I created the Cajun Cardboard hierarchy, because there's 8 zillion different ways to collect Michael Jordan cards. Hell, you could collect freaking Brian Grant cards or Mitch Richmond cards or Reggie Miller cards. You can collect anybody you want on any level you want. There's high-end collectors, there's low-end collectors, there's basketball, football, baseball, Pokemon, V-Friends. There's a million different things. Don't let someone shame you for the way that you collect. And certainly again, I sound like dad giving advice here, but like I have felt this at times where I'm like, man, if I sell this card, what are people going to say? Man, it's none of those people's business. This is your property, your assets, and your money and your investments, and this is our hobby, and it's a place where we should be anxiety-free to move in and out of cards. So don't let somebody say, man, you're just a flipper. Okay, fine. Maybe I am a flipper, but guess where that money is going when I flip these cards? It's going back into more cards, which is something that should be well received by anybody and everybody out there in the hobby, including the take it to the grave old get off my lawn collectors who don't think you should ever sell any cards. So that's it, guys. End of rant, end of video. Submit your raw cards, turn them into cash, go buy some of those beautiful cards that you truly do want and you truly do love, and then you can take them to the grave, right? You go buy the right cards, you take them to the grave with you, give them to your kids in your will, do whatever all those people say they're going to do with their cards. Anyway, thank you guys as always for watching. Comment below if there's anything I left out. Comment below if there's anything I got wrong, because I want to make sure I'm always transparent and accurate in all of my videos. Keep collecting, stay positive in the hobby, and peace.